scholars, you know, fucking deciphering all the hieroglyphs. Man, I don't know, I don't know how you want to review this or what, but or if you have points to go over, but yeah, this movie, the soundtrack alone is great. I can listen to that all the time. Whenever I hear it, it's just I can close my eyes and I can hear that from the other room, like, oh, the Mummy's on. It's one of those soundtracks where like it has automatic connection to this film. Like when you hear it, at least for me, I can definitely tell what it is. And also like the fact that it kind of does, like you said, it it takes influence from like Indiana Jones. I definitely got that as well. I thought that was just rewatching it again. I was like thinking about how to talk about this. I was like, man, it reminds me of Indy, and he's kind of like, I don't know. Yeah, it's just I agree with your point on that as well.
I do think that I this is like super. I think this is going to be like a super hot take, and but I love, Harrison Ford is like the archetype, right, for that action adventure hero. Fucking Blade Runner, Indy, fucking Han Solo. Empire Strikes Back is in his Han in that movie. That's like the first real movie I loved and the first character that I loved. But I've always thought that Brendan Fraser was the better action star, and I would just alone with these three. Even I'll put him these three movies, and I'll give him. I think he did Journey to the Center of the Earth as well, the first one.
Yeah.
I'll put him up there with him and Schwarzenegger and Stallone is like the guy, and I think it's a lot to do with the fact that I think Wes touched on it in this movie is he just is just like a normal dude. Like he's not fucking extra buff. He was in the military, but he's not some commando. He's not like super smart.
Yeah.
It's very, very believable. And I've always thought that that he is just, when I think action star, I go back to '99. I go back to this movie. Everything about his performance is classic, from the one-liners to the connection and the chemistry he has with Rachel is perfect. But yeah, there's just nothing bad to say about it other than that CG. But
even I mean, like the CG of the Mummy. How do you say his name? Imhotep, right?
Oh yeah, Imhotep. Yeah.
He looks good when it's just him, like full CGI. That doesn't bother me. There's just a few, like when he's going around and he's sucking the life out of the other kind of how do you say, swashbucklers or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like getting his like muscle back and stuff. Some of that looks a little wonky when they're like placing it on Arnold Vosloo's like real self. You can kind of see the flaws in it, but like the way that they intercut that with like those scenes when he's going, by, because they all the dudes that opened up his tomb or whatever, inherit the curse, and he goes around and he takes them out one by one, and that is something that I feel like that brings it into the horror realm, where you can at least, like going back to what James said. With this film, you can look at it as gateway horror, where it's friendly enough for kids, but it's gonna open. It has the power to open doors to for a younger audience, or for people who are more or less or disconnected with horror, to kind of jump into that world. Like, oh, let me go back to see the original Mummy, or let me go see this. You know what I mean? Like it's. I feel like it's very powerful in that sense, and I liked how Even though this movie is very violent, a lot of gun violence, a lot of body horror stuff, where even towards the end, the Imhotep gets like his arm cut off, and you see it, but it's very they did the James Wan thing where they were proving that you can make a fun, violent action adventure movie, but still have it be bloodless. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would put it on, and maybe this is like borderline toxic fandom, but I put this on a par with Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom, where that movie is fucking nuts, and it deals with a lot of satanic stuff, morbid stuff that you wouldn't, you couldn't really get away with, and I feel like they do a very good job in The Mummy at tiptoeing around those things and making them still accessible for an audience where they don't feel alienated or that it's too scary. So it is scary, but not to the point of people are going to shut it off or think that it's inappropriate. It rides that line very, very well. And I think it was ballsy of them to do the CGI that they did, where they pretty much reinvented the way that we thought of the Mummy character, being in bandages and walking around and being slow and pretty much being like kind of like a zombie. It gave him an essence of power, and he can harness all of these environmental things that make him vicious in the way that it's almost like, how do you fight somebody like this? You know what I mean? And that goes back to like the scene in the middle of the film where Imhotep pretty much kidnaps Evelyn's character because he wants to basically sacrifice her to bring back his love. And then, Brendan and his crew are kind of racing back to the city of the dead to beat them, or to get there first. And then they have that big kind of sand battle in the desert where it's just like them on the little like fighter plane. And then it's like, how do you win that? It's virtually like it's hopeless.
Yeah.
Do you think the going back to the CGI? Do you think that it was a little bit? Do you think people like think of it like in '99 when you went to go see it? Do you think people were kind of like, because The Matrix had just come out a couple of months before, right? Like in March or April, something like that. Do you think that that's the reason why people thought it wasn't the greatest, or not the greatest, but just a little not on par to that movie?
Perhaps, because I would put money on that. The Matrix had a bigger budget, obviously, right?
Yeah. Did Industrial Light and Magic do CG for this?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
And also, we have to think about the incredible like all of these actors were not. They had no idea how to. How do you say, like, act against nothing? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
right.
That right there is so fucking challenging. Again, like a scene, that scene where they're in one of the tombs and Brandon's just like annihilating all of these little kind of foot soldiers. You remember that?
Oh, the golden priests or whatever they are?
Yes. When he's like swinging on them with the swords and just chopping them down.
You can tell that there's nothing there.
Yeah, he choreographed that all himself and is just timing all of that, and then they put all of those in according to his movements. That's all him.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's just like, it doesn't make any sense. All of these things that you would think that would make this movie bad, they just rose to the occasion and killed it.
That's a crazy point you made, Wes. I never thought about that. That in '99, back then that wasn't. You kind of had it was very different to learn how to act like that against something that's not there. So nowadays it's like fucking every fucking TV show and movie is you have to do stuff like that. So it just adds on to the greatness of it.
I really like the Magi, the kind of the protectors who do an absolute shit job of protecting Amanastra. They watch these guys. I'm assuming they watch them show up to Amanastra and then don't do anything until like 3 days after they've been there already, and they just say, "Hey, get the hell out of here. There's some evil here. You have to leave."
They tell him like,
"All right."
They tell him like, you have a day to leave, or else like things are gonna get bad.
Yeah, like, we'll be back.
And that's
like, all right, cool, thanks, man. We'll leave. We'll take off.
And well, in the beginning of the film, a lot of them get slaughtered, and then even in that fight, if you think about it, they gun down so many of those guys. Like in just that little,
yeah.
They're just getting shot and fall. You see so many guys fall off like the horseback. It's fucking insane.
And you got Rick over here with a piece of dynamite. Like, let's go, dude. Fucking blow us all up.
Yeah, just not giving a fuck.
Like, all right, cool. But yeah, they do a horrible. That's like the worst security job ever. And no, but I grew to love that character though. Ardith, I think, is his name, who makes multiple appearances in the sequels to come after this.
That overly handsome ass dude.
Yeah, he's like a handsome ass Egyptian guy, fucking with long black hair.
Fucking Deuce Bigelow.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
I remember watching this movie and then going to my cousin's house because we weren't allowed to watch like Deuce Bigelow, like those kind of movies at my house, and they had that playing, and I'm like, oh my god, that's the guy from The Mummy. And it's like, and then it's like, oh my god, that's the guy from The Mummy. Like, he's doing stuff that I'm not supposed to know about. But yeah, man, I enjoyed his character. I liked his little arc that he had, and then one of my favorite guys is the pilot. That old Winston, I think is his name.
Yeah,
he's like, "Hello, lads, let's go."
His death is so shitty too. He just sinks into the quicksand.
Yeah, but how badass did Ardith look with that minigun mowing down the mummy? So that was pretty sick.
Oh yeah, he just rips it off the plane like it's
yeah.
This'll do. I had a little piece of research that just popped in my head. Is that so all those what'd you say the guard's name is in the film?
The Magi.
I know that's their collective name, but what is the dude?
Oh, his name?
Yes. Do you know?
Ardith.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I guess him and the rest of that team were supposed to be. You know how they have tattoos on their face, or
yeah, like on their cheeks or whatever.
Yeah,
like little symbols.
I guess like in the actual that culture, they are supposed to be more heavily tattooed on their face, and they opted not to do it for him because they were like, oh, we can't literally. They were like, we can't hire this handsome ass Egyptian dude and then just cover up like his face with tattoos. So they dumbed it down on purpose to like,
oh man, that's
to
perfect.
show him off. So it's pretty funny.
Yeah, Hollywood. Man, that's so cool. And one thing I want to point out, Tom Cruise attempted to bring back The Mummy, and that movie with all its amazing CGI or whatever, and all the money that got put into that got put to shame by this one because people kept on comparing it to this movie and Brendan Fraser. They're like, Tom Cruise is no Brendan Fraser.
Well,
I'm gonna sit this one out because I went to go see that in the theaters.
Hey, I own the steelbook of that. I didn't even see them. I didn't even see the movie, and I bought it. I'm like, oh, the steelbook art looks sick. I'm gonna buy it, and then I'm gonna watch it. And then I was like, oh,